A Century Later by Imtiaz, Dharker. The school bell is a call to battle. Every step to class, a step into the firing line. Here is the target. Fine skin at the temple, cheeks still rounded from being 15. Surrendered, surrounded, she takes the bullet in the head and walks on. The missile cuts a pathway in her mind to an orchard in full bloom, a field humming under the sun, its lap open and full of poppies. The girl has won the right to be ordinary, wear bangles to a wedding, paint her fingernails, go to school. Bullet, she says you are stupid. You have failed. You cannot kill a book or a buzzing in it. A murmur, a swarm. Behind her, one by one, the schoolgirls are standing up to take their places on the front line.
A Century Later by Imtiaz, Dharker. The school bell is a call to battle. Every step to class, a step into the firing line. Here is the target. Fine skin at a temple, cheeks still rounded from being 15. It explains that the school bell represents as a warning that informed the people of the incoming conflict that might occur. Every step to class, a step into the firing line, implies that women do not have the voice yet to share their stand. In the third line, it reveals that the ones who are subjected to criticism or blame are the younger ones, youth, or early teens. Surrendered, surrounded, she takes the bullet in the head and walks on. The missile cuts a pathway in her mind to an orchard in full bloom, a field humming under the sun, its lap open and full of poppies. It says here that her own experiences did not hamper her actions to rise and go on with her life. Instead, she took the bullet and missile as a stepping stone to gain a set of realization that would help her attain the betterment she deserves.
This girl has won the right to be ordinary, wear bangles to a wedding, paint her fingernails, go to school. It gives her the title to gain the extraordinary life an ordinary person can't have. A freedom to do whatever she thinks is right for her to have and enjoy it. This is what she deserves. An empowerment to do things that breaks the restrictions that changed her up while growing. Bullet, she says you are stupid. You have failed. You cannot kill a book or the buzzing in it. She stands proud, accentuating her victory, showing them that she can't be trampled, nor they can overpower her strength in striving for the best. The book in this stanza represents the knowledge that a girl has, whereas the buzzing pertains about her reasoning. A murmur, a swarm. Behind her, one by one, the schoolgirls are standing up to take their places on the front line. The crowd was inspired to fight for their right and take stand for what they believe is good for them as an individual. The overall message of last stanza depicts that women here are empowered already. They are bold enough to take their stand and share their voices to the world.
An interpretation for post-colonialism. To help us have that understanding of the text, we are going to use post-colonialism as a literary theory that would help us understand the meaning of the text in a post-colonial viewpoint. The author accentuates the struggles of the individual pertaining about the younger girls who have gone through oppression in different lenses, alluding the story of a brave girl who stood for the sake of millions of oppressed children. Malala Yousafzai herself fought for the right of education, dreaming that one day education is free to all, without experiencing the brutality and injustice. She represents the swarm of oppressed girls who have been silenced and never been heard. Their inability to stand for their right and share their voice were given emphasis through the imagery used by the writer. The firing lines, it even connotes that younger ones are subjective to exploitation of rights and deprived of privileges. It even portrays the general experiences of young girls that supposedly enjoying their youth and innocence, yet exposed to the cruelty of the society they're living in. Conflicts often trample the innocent people due to contradicting ideas and stand resulting struggles of oppression. In stanza number 3, it talks about the missile, Kat's a pathway in her mind. It even supports the idea that enlightenment or realization takes place. It helps her awaken her senses to enjoy the freedom she was once deprived of having, and that was the quality of education. The bangles and painting fingernails, it even represents how she portrays the step through the empowerment she deserves of having. Gaining enough power to influence the crowd made her strong. The book in the 6th stanza describes the knowledge that the oppressed one have, for it purposely elucidate the role of awareness to the people who needs to be educated of their rights as an individual. The bullet and 2nd and 6th stanza, it deliberately create congruent meaning of courage to stand up and share their voice. A reformation towards the betterment they deserve of having, and that is the quality of education as well. The buzzing toward the last stanza, it even gives off the meaning of strong belief that their voice must be heard, creating a ripple effect of sharing voice, influencing the crowds, pertaining about the younger girls in the next generation, and even leaving to that legacy. A century later signifies the milestone achieved by the oppressed individuals. This is a commemoration that marks up their freedom, empowering them to share their voices, represent their stand, and influence millions of younger children who have suffered from silence and injustice, just so to acquire equal rights to quality education. This is a legacy that will continually live on forever, representing a voice unheard from 100 years ago, who find its place, creating impact and changing the lives of many people all over the world.
Imtiaz Dharker wrote this poem exactly 100 years after the beginning of the First World War, as a response to Wilfred Owen's anthem for doomed youth. Thus, The title "A Century Later" signifies the biggest achievement of the oppressed people under the hands of the oppressor way back First World War up to present times. A legacy that will continually to live on forever. A remembrance to the world that a gentle but powerful voice of a young woman can change the lives of many and can inspire people to get out from the firing line and move to the front line where many can hear their voices. A Century Later by Imtiaz Dharker. The school bell is a call to battle. Every step to class, a step into the firing line. Here is the target. Fine skin at the temple, cheeks still rounded from being 15. Surrendered, surrounded, she takes the bullet in the head and walks on. The missile cuts a pathway in her mind to an orchard in full bloom, a field humming under the sun, its lap open and full of poppies. The girl has won the right to be ordinary, wear bangles to a wedding, paint her fingernails, go to school. Bullet, she says you are stupid. You have failed. You cannot kill a book or a buzzing in it. A murmur, a swarm. Behind her, one by one, the schoolgirls are standing up to take their places on the front line.